Hey there. It's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
Some people do stupid things. Don't do stupid things. You are about to hear my opinion. Do your own research.
Well, here's a Japanese map from 10 centuries ago that shows a ton of other continents out there.
Wow.
Okay. What if it was set up like this, where this is Antarctica and there are a couple openings and you can get out to the extra territory, extra terra. If you lived on this extra terra, and this is the inner space where I live, and you lived out here, you might be an extraterrestrial from outer space.
Okay. So that would,
Inner space, outer space. This is the worlds beyond our worlds.
I've never seen this before.
Maybe it's even worse. Maybe there's ring after ring after ring. Maybe there's other puddles out there.
So I don't hate it. I mean, I don't believe it. I think it's pretty cool. Like, what if that is real? And there are like all those other lands out there, and that's what we call extraterrestrials. And that's what it came from, the extra land outside of the rings. Like, they're outside. I still don't believe it, but I think that would be really cool if it was real and we could just like go there, like without rockets and stuff. Now I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they're taking the rockets to those places. But I mean, yeah, no, I don't think so.
A video on Akuna Matata. In Japanese, Akuma is the name of the devil. So Akuna means evil. Akuna Matata means many evil demons. And you might go, okay, well, it's Japanese. We're not going to talk about Japanese. Akuna Matata in Swahili means there is no worries, supposedly. But in Zulu, Akuna Matata means there is no father. And Zulu happens to be the primary language that the Lion King songs are sang in. Zulu and Swahili. But they told you, no, that song is in Swahili. It's not in Zulu. And what happens in the story of Lion King? Oh yeah, the dad dies. That movie is like literally targeted to the African American community. We've got Mulan in Asia, we've got Snow White in Germany, India, you've got Jasmine. But when it comes to Africa, they make the movie about animals. That's a little bit racist, isn't it? Why didn't they just make it like, African movie about the princess there? And then you look into like who runs this, and they're all people tied to the occult, to that area that we're not allowed to talk about, where they wear their little funny hats. Yeah. When you get down to it, you realize like the highest order of witchcraft is the cabal.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little tired of these folks coming out and ruining all of my childhood movies. It was a fond memory, and now suddenly everything is evil or sexist or racist because the father passed away. Cinderella's father passed away, and that girl's white as all get out. I mean, not as white as Snow White, and her father passed away too. So, I just... I think there was a lot of grabbing there. There was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of the other thing. It wasn't a well-formulated theory, but yeah, stop ruining my childhood.
Let's talk about crop circles. More than 10,000 have appeared in over 30 countries. These elaborate designs appear mysteriously swirled into the crops, in such a way that the stalks are bent over but remain alive. The media has led many people to write these crop circle patterns off as hoaxes, made from people with boards and planks. Of course, there have been some fake versions, but the real ones are made in minutes and have an electromagnetic field that is often electrostatically charged and littered with magnetic particles. The real ones are perfect and geometrically exact, impossible for humans to make. One of the most amazing crop circles is a response to a radio signal sent out in 1974. 27 years later, this crop circle appeared in England. It described a different solar system from a picture with the sender of non-human DNA and a microwave antenna they used to communicate. This magnetic motor was designed from a crop circle 8 years later. A lot of the crop circles display free energy devices and messages of peace, like this one, which says, "Greetings, people of planet Earth. I am a representative of the Astra Galactic Command. We return to you with great spiritually uplifting news. The time has come for you to take the next step in your evolution in the higher realms of existence. Prepare for worldwide contact with many species that inhabit this part of the Milky Way galaxy. Open your inner divine self and welcome your galactic family with love, peace, and harmony." The sooner we expand our consciousness from war and separation to peace and unity, the sooner we can meet our galactic family and become galactic citizens.
I'm pretty inclined to believe that a lot of crop circles are authentic. I do know that some of them are not, and that makes me a little bit sad inside. What I understand is how that one it says that it was translated, but it didn't look like it had any translatable like material in there, the graphics of it. It looked like he was just reading something that somebody decided, hey, this is what this means, and then they typed it down there. But I would love to see how that one was translated, if it was in fact translated to that.
Secret CIA files claim that there are at least three alien bases here on the Earth. I'm talking extraterrestrial aliens, beings from other planets or other dimensions. In the leaked CIA report, it speculates that these bases are at least in Africa, South America, and Alaska. There's been a lot of stories of weird shenanigans going on in Alaska in the past decades. But I always thought if aliens did have a base here on the Earth, the best place to be? The oceans. Yeah, in the oceans. Because then none of you people could just show up and start trying to steal their stuff. And on Google Earth, there's a weird thing off the coast of California that looks like it's intelligently made. And it's under the water. Look at that. That doesn't look like an own natural structure to me. Now, before you go searching Google Earth for it, that image has been scrubbed. It's not on there anymore. So why would that be taken off of Google Earth if there isn't something to it? I don't know, but it does make me question some things. Okay, Pooshkis, let me know your opinion. Do you think aliens could possibly have bases here on the Earth? Or do you think it's just a bunch of kids walking around, wearing cheese heads, talking to their phone while they're in their bathroom? Wait, that sounds like me. Shabadoo, Booshkis. Shabadoo.
Shabadoo, Joe. Yeah, I don't know when this document was leaked, if it was a long time ago or if it was recently, but I totally believe that there are alien bases here on Earth. On the land, and I think that humans are working with them because for why? All kinds of wonderful, fun reasons. And definitely in the ocean, because we don't search the ocean and we're not allowed. And I love how people find stuff on Google Earth and then you'll look again and he's not there anymore. It's suspicious.
We've always believed in having a limited lifetime, but we've actually now made it specifically 20 years that we'll spend all of our resources. And so between the additional money that I'll put into the foundation and the money that's there, over these next 20 years, we'll spend a bit over $200 billion. And so we'll be able to spend at a pretty high rate, and that'll give us a chance to make a great deal of progress, we think, on the key issues.
This sounds unprecedented in a number of ways. I'm not aware of any significant foundation that has named an end date 20 years in the future. And the other thing that I think is unprecedented is simply the amount that you will have dispersed. Is that correct?
There have been spend down foundations. Most of the largest have had sort of indefinite timeframes. Rockefeller Foundation and others, were created a long time ago, and they're still doing great work. So for a foundation our size, this is unique.
All right, sound off. I want to know what you think about this. What do you think he is doing? Given all of the stuff that Bill Gates is known to be having his fingers in, what do you think his end goal is with this 20-year lifespan and $200 billion? Let me know.
Pope Leo XIV gives his first blessing, our first American Pope. This is Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, now known as Pope Leo XIV. And he is our first American Pope ever. White smoke rose from the Sistine Chapel today, signaling the election of our new Pope. So who is Pope Leo XIV, and what does this mean for the Catholic Church and the world? What kind of Pope is he? He was born in Chicago, Illinois. The new Pope is 69 years old, and he spent decades doing missionary work, particularly in Peru, where he lived amongst the poor and earned a reputation for humility and strength. So what kind of pope is he? Is he progressive? Is he conservative? He is in the middle. Everyone is asking, is he going to continue like Pope Francis with his all-inclusivity? Or is he going to go back to the olden ways? Well, he's straight split in the middle. Up until now, he was the one helping to pick bishops all over the world. Pope Leo XIV is known for being a centrist. And if you ask me, I get really good vibes from him. He looks so sweet. The energy is absolutely positive. He's passionate about human dignity. He cares for the poor. Insiders say that he's specially focused on rebuilding trust with younger people. And he wants to help marginalized communities. And he's also expected to strengthen the ties with the global South Africa and Asia. Also Latin America, where Catholicism is rapidly growing. His deep understanding of the church is exactly what the world needed right now. So what do you think about the new pope? Did they pick the right guy? I think so.
I think I'm not Catholic, so I don't really have, well, I do have an opinion. I'm going to tell you my opinion. I think that being centrist is a little conflicting for Catholicism, because every Catholic I've ever known is very Catholic. Like the whole LGBTQIA Wi-Fi password stuff is no bueno. But to be pushing the church in that direction may cause an issue. Perhaps this whole 2027 thing. I'm not 100% certain. We're going to have to wait and see. But I think it's interesting that his name isn't Peter, because he was supposed to be Peter, right? So what happened with that? Did they stray from the book? Too many people say, hey, look at this book. This is what's going to happen. And he's like, I'm not going to be Peter. I'm not going to do it. But he might, inadvertently, with his centrist beliefs. I don't know.
In 1582, the world changed. Quietly, but forever. Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar, the one you use today. 12 months, 365 days, leap years. But that wasn't always the system. Before that, many ancient cultures used a 13-month calendar, 28 days per month, perfectly in sync with the moon, with nature, with your body. 13 months, 28 days, 364 days total. One day out of time to reset, reconnect, to breathe. This system reflected balance. It honored the feminine, the natural, the spiritual. It wasn't just a calendar, it was a rhythm. But Rome had other plans. The 13-month calendar was scrapped. In its place, a system designed not for balance, but for commerce, control, production. They didn't just rewrite time. They severed humanity's connection to the cycles of the earth. Time became a trap. Not a flow, but a factory. Work, consume, obey. And most people still don't realize they're living inside a time system built by designers of control, not keepers of truth. But there's a shift happening. People are waking up, reclaiming their rhythm, rewriting their reality. Because once you control your time, you start to control your life. This is the way out.
I was not expecting that to go that way. I expected something completely different when I selected this clip, but that's absolutely fantastic. I was just taken aback because I was like, well, yeah. Time is relative. It's completely relative. It's how we experience it. When the sun comes up and the earth revolving and spinning and doing all of the things, that's how we created a calendar. But it is so chaotic with 30 days here, 31 days there. Oh, this month only has 28, but why? I don't know. For the way it's constructed is for commerce, which makes a lot of sense. Why can't all of the months be 28 days? Why do we have to have it all funny? I'm sure there's some great explanation having to do with seasons and whatnot, but it does feel a little chaotic.
Remember when 24/7 was normal? Gas stations, diners, stores, always open, always alive. Now, locked doors, empty streets, lights off by 10. And the excuse is always the same: short staff, low demand, safety. But here's what they're not telling you. This shift was intentional. In 2020, the world paused, and governments realized something. People are easier to control when they're on a tighter schedule. Less movement, less unpredictability, less resistance. They called it soft curfews. Not laws, but lifestyle engineering. They let go of 24/7 not because we don't need it, but because they don't want us out late, thinking freely, forming connections, living off the script. Night owls became a threat. Unpredictable behavior, a system flaw. So they rewrote the rules, and now we sleep when they say sleep, wake when the algorithm rings, eat what the app delivers, live in a cage with invisible walls, and thank them for the convenience. Ask yourself, when did the world stop staying awake? And more importantly, why?
Except everything has gone back to pretty much 24 hours. It didn't used to be like that. Back in the day, it used to be sleep when I say you sleep and work when I say you work, because things had business hours and it was 9 to 5 and everything was closed at night. And the only thing when I was a kid that was open was the 7-Eleven, and that's how it got its name. It was open at 7 a.m. and closed at 11, which was completely unheard of because everything had a 9 to 5. But then slowly things started shifting into this 24-hour world. And then night shifts happened. Well, night shifts were happening, but not as much as they are now, because a lot of places are open 24 hours. And they're open holidays too, which was unheard of when I was a child. But yeah, it is still, work when I say you work, which is all day. Sleep when I say you sleep, which is when you have a minute. These companies need more money, so they extend their hours, which brings them more profit because there are more night shifts and more people out at night to purchase their goods. So it's the machine. The machine just keeps right on grinding.
Do you want to know the meaning of crop circles? Yeah? Well, that's good. That's real good. Alright, listen to this. So as you know, crop circles can be found all over the world. But did you know that they are not just random shapes? Every crop circle is created with sacred geometry and mathematics, and every design has a meaning. This one is created in the well-known shape of the Kabbalah, and this one is built perfectly in the ratio of pi, two ancient symbols for human spirituality, the 7 chakras and the symbol for mind, body and spirit. These crop circles are of the magnetic field, and more crop circles of magnetic energies. What you need to understand is the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. Every pattern has a meaning. You just gotta be able to decode it. They've even got ones that show melatonin, which is a brain hormone which supports sanity and relaxation. There's even crop circles that show the movement of the first and second sun. They've even got crop circles that show the lunar phase and the eclipse cycles. So like I said before, the eyes are useless when the mind is blind.
That's got to be one of the best breakdowns of crop circles that I've ever seen. I clearly haven't looked nearly far enough to find more stuff, but I think that's cool how it's related to sacred geometry and cymatic frequencies and melatonin, for crying out loud. That's rad.
In 1964, 2 high schoolers came up with an idea for their high school science fair project. They were going to test just how long they could go without sleeping and record all the side effects that happened along the way. The 2 friends decided to flip a coin, and the one who lost, Randy Gardner, was the one who had to stay awake. After getting both a Stanford sleep researcher and a US Navy medic to watch over their experiment, they were finally ready to begin. After the first 3 days, Randy both felt fine and looked fine, and still had a good amount of energy. But when day 4 came, he began experiencing some really strong mood swings, and after day 5, he began to hallucinate. It was much easier to stay awake during the daytime since Randy would always go outside and play basketball with friends. But when nighttime came, there was really nothing to do, and that was when Randy really started struggling. Randy ultimately stayed awake for 11 entire days, or 264 hours, setting a brand new world record. Afterwards, he slept for 14 entire hours, and once he woke up, he actually felt pretty okay. He even went to school, and just like that, everything was back to normal. However, Randy is 74 now, and because of that experiment, he still has trouble sleeping at night to this day.
Wow, 11 days? That's crazy. Like, I can't even pull an all-nighter anymore. And back in the day when I used to, by like 36 hours, I was starting to feel a little delirious. But wow, 11 days, that's rough.
In 1991, two British pranksters revealed that they were behind over 200 crop circles that had mystified the world over the prior decade. Doe Bauer and Dave Chorley admitted to a newspaper reporter that they had created the elaborate geometric patterns in fields of wheat and other crops as a joke, using simple tools like wooden planks, ropes, and wire. The duo would go out at night with a few pints of beer in hand and stomp down crop circles of various sizes and designs, finding amusement in the bafflement of locals who stumbled upon their overnight creations. While the crop circles were initially intended as tricks for their rural neighbors, by the late 1980s pictures of the patterns were circulating globally, with UFO enthusiasts and paranormal investigators proclaiming them evidence of alien visitors. The more complex and numerous the circles became, the more experts doubled down that extraterrestrial forces must be at work. However, the reporter was able to verify Bauer and Chorley's claims by having them demonstrate their techniques and matching their new sample circles to an archive the men had saved over the years. What had spiraled into an international phenomenon was simply the work of two pranksters armed with planks, ropes, hats with wire, and a bit of ingenuity. The crop circle stood as early evidence of how even crude hoaxes can take on lives of their own in the age of media hype and wishful thinking.
All right, so I'm not happy about the things I'm about to say because that goes against my narrative. But that's not what this channel's about. It's not about my narrative. Yeah, I tell you what I think, but I'm well okay with being proven wrong. And this isn't the first time I've seen that. And if you're my age, which according to YouTube analytics, a good majority of you are around my age, you'll remember in the late 80s, early 90s, there was something, it was either a current affair, Unsolved Mysteries, or 60 Minutes. They had these fellas on. And they demonstrated how they did this. And when they're like, oh, well, what about these, electromagnetic readings, whatever they were, they showed all this powder stuff that they sprinkled around that was like charged or ionized, or I don't even know what it was. But yeah, they're like, that's how we did it. I don't like it, but facts are facts. Facts are facts. Now that that's been said, it's time for the conclusion of our CIA black site story.
So they shut the program down, and of the 119 men who went through these black sites, 21 of them remain in the custody of the United States government at the military base in Cuba called Guantanamo Bay. But of all of these people, only 3 of them have faced any version of a trial of justice where evidence is presented and a verdict is given. And this gets to what to me is the worst outcome of this torture program, which is that it turned into a massive success for the terrorists who attacked Washington, D.C. and New York on that day. Al-Qaeda successfully provoked the United States and the CIA to lash out in revenge, to violate their own norms and values, the ones that they preach to the rest of the world, to lay bare the hypocrisy of the United States, which is something that a lot of the world already has a problem with. The view that the US is a hypocritical empire, eager to preach about human rights and rule of law, but quick to violate those very values when they become inconvenient. And in the process, not only did the CIA fail to get any useful intelligence out of this, but they also turned these men into victims. Like the guy who probably planned the USS Cole bombing that killed dozens of US sailors, that guy should face justice. He should sit in a courtroom and have his crimes proved to the public, and he should be punished at a measure that is proportional to his crime. However, due to the CIA's use of brutal and illegal torture, his case has been totally tainted. The evidence obtained in his interrogation is now inadmissible in court. He's even been granted victim status in the European Court of Human Rights for the torture he endured in Poland, forcing Poland to pay him 100,000 euros. And so now the families of those who died in that horrific bombing have no closure. The person who did this will never be brought to justice. And this goes for so many of the men who plotted and executed the 9/11 attacks. If you go to their Wikipedia page, you're going to see a lot about what the CIA did to them, the black site program that they were part of. The reason why I call it a trap is because the CIA, in doing what they did, helped turn these men into symbols of American hypocrisy, whereas they should be seen as symbols of terror. When we stoop to the level of revenge, the most primitive form of justice, we go backwards. We erode the foundations of our system, what we've built. And then, of course, our government and our press has to spend years or decades picking up the pieces, shining a light on all of it, making sure we stand accountable, and that hopefully we learn from our mistakes.
Well, if that just isn't a kick in the pants, then I don't know what is. The CIA went and got all emotional and acted irrational, and then these fellas basically are getting away with it. Yeah, they're locked up, but they're not getting justice, really, because everything that they got is inadmissible based on how this information was, sucked out of them. That's crazy. That's disturbing. And that was a really cool story that I found the end of. I'm pretty excited about that. But I'm going to have a new story for you on Monday. I'm not sure what it's going to be about. I'm thinking maybe aliens, maybe Gladio, maybe a little bit of everything. I don't know. We'll find out. On that note, I'm calling it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please come on back in a couple of days. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things. And it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.